Hello and welcome to the Build Back Safer event. We wish that we could have hosted you in person, but we're very happy to be able to convene with you virtually. With lockdown restrictions easing, we hope that that opportunity will come very soon. My name is Jillian Kowalchuk, and I'm the founder and CEO of Safe and the City. So we're going to get started right away as people join in because we have a very packed hour for you. And we know it's been a very busy week for many of you, with International Women's Day kicking off on Monday and now ending the week with us. So we want to thank you for your choice to spend your time here. It's been a challenging week. While we commend achievements of women's rights, and our team has been celebrating our 3rd anniversary since our launch, we're also very heavily reminded of the work we need to do, even to this day. This is a driving force behind our mission to accelerate the changes needed for us to all feel and be safer. We want to take a moment of silence to appreciate the 1 in 3 women worldwide who've experienced physical or sexual violence, with a special thought for Sarah Everard. And we want to give a heartfelt thanks to our amazing speakers, Claire Barnett, Amy LeMay, Michelle Roycroft, and Kate Barnes, for their time to share their expertise, insights, and ideas about how we can all work together to build back safer. But before we go any further, let me run through a few digital housekeeping items. So if you're new to this platform, I'll give you a quick overview of some of the key features that you can use throughout. But please do try to keep yourself on mute and hopefully avoid any embarrassing moments or distractions. On the right-hand side, we would welcome your comments and in the chat box, as well as any questions in the Q&A tab. We'll try to leave a few minutes towards the end of the panel, as well as at the end of the event. And if we can't get to them then we will make sure to get to them later. And make use of the emojis. If you're excited, then make sure to engage with the other incredible people here. And if you're feeling inspired, then please, we encourage you to use the hashtag #BuildBackSafer and tag Safe in the City so that we don't miss it. This presentation will be recorded and made available afterwards. So if you'd like to rewatch some parts or share it with people in the organization, you are most welcome. Great, so let's get into it. So we're going to start with a welcome address. One second. From probably one of the busiest women in the UK at the moment, Claire Barnett, the Executive Director of UN Women UK. Following that, I will be sharing a brief history of Safe in the City's journey from idea to reality, how we've adapted and grown, and what we're doing to make it possible for more technology products through the launch of i3. We will then be switching gears slightly and be handing it over to our panel to look at a personal safety survey to understand some of the key experiences that we've ran, to understand the gaps and the opportunities, to know how we can help strengthen this. And then after that, we will turn it over to our expert panel to discuss how they believe or are already building back safer through their organizations and various initiatives. Last but not least, Safe in the City's Chief Technology Officer, Gary Devenay, will reveal the i3 intelligence platform, how the brains of Safe in the City will now work to integrate with other mobile apps, and the possibilities that we see in working with partners like yourselves to make safety at the heart of all technology products. Again, we will leave a couple minutes for Q&A at the end with a few closing remarks. Last International Women's Day, Safe in the City and UN Women UK released our Safer Spaces for Women and Girls report. This was part of their global UN Women program to find ways to address the most common forms of sexual gender-based violence in public spaces and in cities. Safe in the City's crowdsourced insights helped fill some of those gaps, identifying key trends and patterns across London and how we can start to address them. Publishing this report helped build out UN Women UK's Safe Spaces Now program, galvanize more funding and partnerships to make London a safer city for women and girls. While this is only one area of the work at Safe in the City through our research and consulting arm, tackling unsafe and less reported experiences of abuse, harassment, and violence to vulnerable groups is something that we're dedicated to working on as a social enterprise. It is with great pleasure to introduce Claire Barnett, an experienced business leader, speaker, campaigner, and currently leading UN Women UK's as the executive director. Prior to joining UN Women UK, Claire drove McKinsey's UK office on diversity and inclusion, including the author of The Power of Parity, examining the macroeconomic effect of accelerating gender equality on the UK GDP and beyond. She holds a master's degree from the University of Oxford and has worked around the world to advance human rights. Over to you, Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire Barnett, the Executive Director of UN Women UK. UN Women is the global champion for gender equality and the elimination of violence against women and girls. We've been around for 10 years now, and our global mission is to make sure that every woman and girl worldwide has access to safety, choice, and a voice. Safety, meaning freedom from violence and harassment of all kinds, choice over her work, equal pay for the work she does, and reproductive rights, and a voice in society as a leader, as well as a service user. And women's leadership is the theme for International Women's Day this year, and of course we'll be celebrating that throughout the month of March. Over the 10 years that UN Women has been in existence, we've been running a flagship programme called Safe Cities and Safe Public Spaces. And this is all about transforming urban areas and beyond to make them safer for women and girls, not only to address violence when it happens, but to prevent it in the future. And the reason that we convene organisations, governments, communities and individuals to do this work is that we are uniquely placed to work at every level of society to achieve that change. We work through grassroots programmes, delivering support to the most vulnerable women and girls worldwide, from educational programmes with girls through sport to upskilling women in refugee camps to help them access trades. We work with governments to help embed that change into legislation and policy, creating long-term shifts. But we're the only UN agency who also has a third part to our mandate, which is about activism and normative change. So I'm delighted to be joining you today to talk about how we can all do more to make that change happen. Throughout the 10 years of Safe Cities and Safe Public Spaces, the absolute key to this programme has been that it is always incredibly locally owned. So we always start with a data gathering phase that is about working out exactly where the issues lie in every individual region and space. And then based on that data, we design bespoke solutions together with partners across all sectors, from corporate to public sector, to make sure that we're addressing the issues that the data throws up. And technology is often a huge part of that. So we've done everything from using tech to train bus drivers and respond to issues when they happen, to create smarter cities and innovate for more long-term change. I'm sure that many of you in the room today, or in the virtual room, are working in that space to use technology to create long-lasting social change. So we're really pleased that you're working on this. And of course, Safe in the City's work is a great example of that. I'm very pleased to be joining them for that milestone today. So as you probably know, the coronavirus crisis has had really deep-seated effects on women's rights, and we are yet to see the full impact of the crisis. So that ranges from seeing rises in reports of domestic abuse due to the extended lockdowns, to women being often the first to lose their jobs and be furloughed, to women already shouldering the vast majority of caring responsibilities. And we're seeing evidence every day now that indicates that those responsibilities have increased for mothers in particular. But there are also many effects that we're yet to fully see, and those include the increased threat of sexual harassment in public spaces and sexual exploitation, which we often see during crises of all kinds, from diseases and pandemics to any threat that puts strain on households and communities. Women are often the first to suffer, from being survivors of violence to being more likely to experience food poverty as women and children. And we know that every new crisis that comes along, from safety issues and pandemics and health issues through to climate change, will have unique effects on the lives of women and children. Women and children are still 14 times more likely to die in a disaster than men. And there's a number of reasons for that, but we are seeing hope. So women-led countries experienced 6 times fewer deaths from the pandemic last year. And we think that inclusive leadership is going to be absolutely key to solving some of these very difficult societal issues. So we are really glad that you're joining Safe in the City today to do just that. So we think that we're looking at a unique moment in history. Hopefully we will never again all have to exit public space at the same time and have an opportunity to return to that from an extended period of lockdown. And while that's been a strain for many, it's also an incredible opportunity. We have the real opportunity to redefine not only how spaces are constructed, but how they're used and the behaviour within them. So my message to you all today in this Women's History Month would be to be cognizant and very conscious of this unique moment in history. And absolutely make the most of it as your organisations, as individuals, and really think, how can I take action to grasp that unique moment with both hands and do absolutely everything that we can to make change happen at the moment that we return to public space. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for having me. If you're not already part of the UN Women family, please do visit our website at unwomenuk.org and join in with this programme and more. And congratulations to all of you on what I'm sure will be some fascinating discussions with Safe in the City today. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it looks like the video got just cut off there, but thank you so much, Claire, for joining us. And please do, if you want any introductions to support UN Women UK's work, then we'd be very happy to connect you. For those of you who are new to Safe in the City, let me take you on a short journey through our history and how we've gotten to where we're at today. I founded Safe in the City after an experience of my own of sexual harassment, which transformed my life forever. One evening when I was going to meet a friend in central London, following Google Maps to get there, I was led to the entrance of an empty, dark alleyway. I paused for a moment as I didn't think that I wanted to take this route, but I ignored my intuition because, in a sense, I was used to adapting myself around these technologies. However, about halfway down this alleyway, 2 kitchen staff appeared on a smoke break. They noticed me walking alone, and in a matter of seconds, they blocked my way and threatened to sexually assault me. This wasn't the first situation I've had like this, and it likely won't be the last. And I was able to take those experiences to de-escalate the situation and escape that alleyway physically untouched. However, I was shaken, and after reaching my friend and telling her what happened, she recounted her own similar experiences, but also didn't think to involve the police or the businesses. It was one of many undocumented experiences that since a young age we were taught that just happen, and often without consequence. I couldn't help but think how many others were following that same journey on Google Maps, or would have a similar or worse experience to mine. How would anyone know if this pattern continued until something much worse happened? I realized that there was a much larger problem, but also an opportunity. As a public health researcher at UCL at the time, I was trained to look for patterns, develop data-driven models to identify the sources of these issues, and find opportunities to prevent harm. But how could we prevent unsafe experiences like my own that happens so many times every day without technology being a part of the solution. This was the genesis of Safe in the City, to create an everyday mobile app that could help people moving from A to B with safety as their guide, while learning from their experiences. While we know that we can't walk in everyone's shoes, we know that technology unlocks the opportunity to engage with more people in the solution and then enable that to design design smarter and safer cities. We've helped tens of thousands of people across London and Berlin navigate in this way, get emergency help quicker, and share important safety information about their locations. We know by providing safety, we can also ask for people's contributions on how we can do better. By building transparency into who we work with, why, and how it benefits them and others, we give hope to create visibility over the things that we can change and help prevent. We've worked with police, business improvement districts, technology companies, research and policy initiatives to put these insights into action at all levels. We are proud to announce the next chapter of Safe in the City, I3 Intelligence, to continue our vision to make everyone's right to be safe a reality through our API integrations. I3 Intelligence packages the relationships we've established, the algorithms we've developed, and the expertise our team has gained into an easy to integrate service to help other mobile apps keep their users safe. And by packaging the I3 Intelligence, we build into other products the insights to understand risk, how to measure the impacts that you're making, and influence the wider changes that we need to do to work together and keep people safe. Gary will be sharing more of these details about how it will work shortly, so I'll keep you on the edge of your seats for now. COVID-19 has made us have to rethink, adapt, and envision a different future for ourselves. I believe these challenges have introduced more innovation, people coming together to solve problems. And with this turning point, I hope that you will join the revolution to build back safer. Before we hand it over to our expert panel, I want to share with you to help facilitate this, from some results from our personal safety on mobile app survey. So Safe in the City's consulting team surveyed people across the country to present a snapshot of their personal safety experiences while using their top 5 mobile apps. The respondents were asked to narrow this into mobile apps that they used most frequently in moving from one space into another and facilitating meeting people from online to offline. A total of 305 people were included in the analysis of the results, and these apps ranged in use, but most frequently were reported navigation apps, ride-sharing, dating, and social media. Most of the respondents were based in England, with nearly a third coming from the Greater London area. The majority of respondents were Caucasian, heterosexual, of the Christian faith, single, and between the ages of 25 to 34 years old, not reporting that they had any visible long-term illness or disability. And we wanted to understand baseline opinions and experiences about the views on who's responsible to keep people safe. The majority of people believe that tech companies did hold some responsibility to keep them safe while moving through different spaces or meeting new people. Nearly 2/3 believe that having safety information readily available about their location was very important when moving through public space. The disaggregated demographic information gave light to that women and those who identified coming from the LGBTQ+ community were 3 times more likely to report that tech companies did not do enough to take their personal safety into account. So what types of experiences did people have? Well, very surprising to us, over 5 over half of people said that using their top apps, they either witnessed or experienced a crime during the use of this app. While the experiences ranged in what was shared with us, it did include physical assaults after meeting people on dating apps, as well as some of the consequences in moving through public spaces using other navigation providers. So here are a couple examples. So when people had experienced something, we asked whether they were able to report it. And most people were far more likely to report it directly to the police than to a customer service agent. But 23% said that they didn't share it with either the police or customer service, meaning that there's a clear gap of insights missing for us to find ways to resolve these issues. And what happened after they reported? Well, the majority of people said that they were not satisfied in the resolution of this report, either to the police or to the tech companies. And 69% of people reported that they would seriously consider switching to another app similar to their top 5, but that had more safety functionalities. And nearly 80% said that they would want their top 5 apps to adopt some personal safety or crime alerts to help keep them safer. Now, from having a really strong community, we had some really great ideas, which we won't have time to go into in too much detail. But we do wanted to share that there is still more work to be done. So we will be providing a summary of these report in a little bit more detail for you to look at with your organizations, especially around understanding different demographic profiles and needs, and how we can, again, use this information to start building back better and safer. And we, of course, would welcome a conversation with anyone that is interested to pursue that. Wonderful. I'm very excited to now get into this fantastic conversation with our guests. So we hope that this survey helped, again, frame some of the conversations of why we need technology to play a role. And again, I'm really excited to share with you the people that we have joining our panel, because they have very diverse and unique perspectives that will be brought to the conversations. So make sure to get your questions prepared, and we will save them towards the end of the conversation to make sure that they get answered. So firstly, let me introduce Kate Barnes as the Safety and Community Partnerships Lead at Tier Mobility. Kate brings a wealth of experience in managing private-public sector partnerships. Most recently, Kate joined Tier Mobility, Europe's largest e-scooter operator, with a mission to change mobility for good. As Safety and Community Partnerships Lead, Kate helps ensure that Tier's customers and communities stay safe. She also manages Tier's partnerships with experts to improve wider safety standards. Next, we have Michelle Roycroft, who is the Chief Ambassador to Help Me Angela, one of our newest customers. Michelle is a retired Metropolitan Police officer serving over 34 years as a detective. She is passionate about supporting victims, training people to react in moments of crisis, and utilizing technology to help safeguard more people. Michelle leads building a personal safety community for Help Me Angela, which is a soon-to-launch Guardian Angel app. She is also the managing director of Holkin Associates, which provides bespoke security and investigative solutions. And last but not least, we have Amy LeMay, who has a long and successful track record as a leader and collaborator, especially in the cultural and creative industries. She's the co-founder of the award-winning arts company club called Ducky, co-founder of RVT Future, a voluntary LGBTQ+ community group. She's an author, honorary doctorate, and appointed honorary professor at University College London. Originally from New Jersey, Amy has been a proud Londoner for more than 25 years. She has been serving as London's Night Czar since 2016 and has championed the Women's Night Safety Charter, which I hope more of your organizations will sign up for. So I'll give a couple moments for the speakers to come on stage to unmute themselves and turn on their mics. Feel free to use some emojis to welcome everyone. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Jillian. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Really well, thanks. Really pleased to be here with you.
Thank you for making the time. Hopefully we can get Kate and Michelle on as well.
Yeah, I've got my microphone on.
Hi, I'm Claire Barnett, executive.
Gary, we have people? 1 second, always.
There's Michelle.
Hi, Amy. Lovely to meet you.
Perfect.
Hi. Oh, and there's Kate.
Wonderful. Amazing. We did it. This is great. I know new platforms always lots of learning and so forth. So thank you so much again for all being here. And I wanted to start the conversation, the first question with you, Amy, and then we'll welcome everyone else's response. But I know that especially with your role as Night Czar, that you've been approached by a lot of organizations and seen a lot of initiatives that have come, especially to help the nighttime economy where safety is a key consideration. So what role do you think technology will have, especially now, to help shape safer and more inclusive spaces in London?
Thank you, Jillian. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you and all of the incredibly hard work that you've done to take this app to the next level, and so impressed by what Safe in the City has been able to achieve. So all congratulations to you and the hard work that you've done. And I think that, just looking at the insights that you just presented, really sparked my imagination in terms of our dependence on apps these days and how integrated they are in our lives, for everything from controlling our home lighting and heating through to ordering food and doing our banking. And so it makes sense. It's just common sense that our safety and our security should be thought about in terms of our app. And particularly around gathering information. That's why I'm so excited by the launch today, that it really enables a wider implementation of this across loads of apps, gathering that information, getting smarter. I mean, this is what we need. If we want to build back safer, we need to be smart about it. And I think that, what you've done really proves that.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I see, Kate, you're nodding your head quite a lot. So I'd love you to jump on and add your thoughts around, what role does technology really have to play here?
Yeah, I certainly agree with all of Amy's points, hence my vigorous nodding. Yeah, I mean, technology is absolutely crucial. I think, first of all, it gives us access to a wealth of data. And if we can't measure something, we can't act on it. And data gives us access to all sorts of information, whether that is mobility insights, whether that is gender-based insights, understanding about trends. But it also allows us to really understand community issues. And I think what's also great about technology is technology can help us then build solutions to those issues. Technology really allows us to innovate and meet the needs of different groups and individuals in society. So I guess that is also, for me, why I'm really motivated personally to work for a tech company and work on the area of safety and technology, because I think that twofold approach is really, really unique.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what about you, Michelle? Please jump in.
Well, I think for me, I've got so many different apps on my phone, as Amy was saying. You know, in the morning before I leave for work, I check the weather. When I go to bed at night, I listen to a sleep story. So there's all these different apps, and all of a sudden we've got the opportunity to turn our phone into a mobile safety device. Now, what could be better than that? To use technology to help people feel safer in their everyday lives.
Amazing. Such good responses there. And I think something that really stood out, and we've said this kind of a lot, is kind of, we can't change what we don't measure. And again, that importance of how technology can really be a scalable way that we can engage a more representative and diverse, experience of this issue, instead of kind of going, oh, it's too complicated, we have no way of doing it. I mean, if we can put a man, into Mars soon, I think we can start to look at some societal issues. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear from you, Kate, next, on kind of, especially because you've been doing work with tech companies on women's safety or different community safety. So how do you think that we can really ensure that we're engaging women and other underrepresented groups that may not actually have tech kind of designed by and for them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think specifically when it comes to transport, we know that women are underrepresented often in decision making. And that can be sometimes quite dangerous because it can lead to a service that doesn't represent the needs of a lot of the users. And I think that's certainly something that really drove me to want to work for a company like TIA, because their mission is to try and change mobility for good. But I think in order for that to really come to fruition, there are several things that need to happen. So firstly, I think underrepresented groups really need to be consulted as part of the design process. They need a seat at the table, and their voices really, really need to be heard. Second of all, I think companies need to have a diverse workforce. It's the people who are designing products, who are designing, hardware or solutions. If they don't have a diverse employee base, the product and the end results aren't going to meet the needs of the diverse user base. I think we should also, given that this topic has, a gender lens, we should also try and understand what maybe transport or tech needs that women have and how we can actively try and build products that meet those needs. And finally, collaboration is king. Collaboration is so important in this area. Unless we really work with different external experts and share research, insights, expertise, for example, then I don't think we're going to solve the problems that we face.
That's so true. And collaboration is king, because I think, again, it's not going to be isolated to one product. Like, of course, one product might have more issues than maybe others, or just like some communities might have more issues than others. But, when we actually can collaborate and understand that, hey, we're moving now and we're connecting through all types of different devices. We're, interconnected to our, apps nowadays, that, if we're not collaborating on the solutions and these complex needs for different groups, then we're never probably going to amount to it. So I think that's such a great point. How about you, Michelle? With Help Me Angela, I know especially you guys have, been looking at different needs of women and other groups. Would you have anything of how do you make sure, or some of the research that you've been doing to make sure people have been, consulted with?
So we did extensive research before, Help Me Angela, in relation to who would who needs our product and how we can help everybody to feel safer, not just women, but how we can help everyone to feel safer. And we were quite alarmed at some of the results where people didn't feel comfortable speaking to the police. And when they were brave enough to speak to the police, they didn't feel that they had got the result or reaction that they needed. So what we're hoping is by providing them with our 24/7 guardian angel and give them instant access to our personal safety specialists through using the leading edge technology, through collaborating with you, we'll be able to provide that safe space for them.
That's amazing. And I remember when I first heard of Help Me Angela, I was like, oh, that's like the Angela campaign that you saw kind of come up with after, again, one woman Angela went missing
that's right.
as well.
Yeah, that's part of the reason that we kept that was towards Angela Compton, who was murdered. And there was Ask for Angela, that was a campaign across public houses and in nightclubs where, if you were worried, if you were on a date and something went wrong, you could go to a member of staff and ask for Angela. So it's with that in mind that we launched Help Me Angela.
That's amazing. And again, that's kind of bridging, again, those physical to tech spaces that can help, again, establish that baseline or even, zero tolerance to these types of behaviors happening in those spaces. I think that's such a good point.
Yeah, and using technology to help everyone feel safer. What could be better than that?
Absolutely. And I know, Amy, too, I have to come over to you because you've championed and led the Women's Night Safety Charter. And that was very much around making sure that there were women who had a seat at the table and looking at the nighttime economy as something that they were helping to shape safety into. Oh, I think you're on mute. Oh. We had to say it once.
Yeah, sorry. I had to be that person, didn't I? Anyway, it's thank you, Gillian, for bringing that up because, we know that by and large, London is a safe city. This week in particular, it feels incredibly unsafe. And we know that too many women feel unsafe while traveling or working, going out at night. And when I was first appointed Night Czar in 2016, we did an outreach poll to find out what the top concerns were for people, to kind of guide me in prioritizing my work. And the number one priority for people was women's safety. And that is why the mayor and I created the Women's Night Safety Charter to make London a place where all women feel confident and welcome at night. And this is part of the mayor's Tackling Violence Against Women and Girls strategy and London's commitment to the UN Women's Safe Cities and Safe Public Spaces global initiative. And so we have just about 400 signatories at the moment. It's important to recognize that not all of them are within what we will call a kind of traditional nighttime economy. We've got loads of pubs and clubs, but we also have casinos who are great employers of women, actually. A lot of women are working at night, and we can't lose sight of that. So women are doing all sorts of things at night. They're not just going out and having a good time. Some of them are working, they're studying, they're visiting family, they're doing community activist work. That we need to have a full picture about this and not just think, oh, this is just about licensed premises, because we know only too well that the violence against women and girls can happen anywhere. And indeed, the home is often the most unsafe place for women. And so it's important that we take a 360-degree view of women's safety. And that's what we aim to do with the Women's Night Safety Charter.
But do you not think that also there's an onus on companies who need to act proactively as we emerge from COVID into, because lots of people who've been at home for a long time, those journeys that they did as a matter of course over for years and years, all of a sudden, they're going to feel intimidated doing those journeys, potentially threatened. And I think that there is an onus on employees to act proactively to provide those people, particularly in the industries that you've described, with the tools to help them feel safer.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the charter itself is a sort of 7-step charter, and it's based on action. So it's not just something that you sign up to and then, think, oh, right, I've got tick that box. That we've had way too much of that for far too long.
Yeah.
I think this International Women's Day is the first year that I've really felt like I'm just so sick of the lip service.
Yes.
And I think a lot of women felt that way, particularly with the situation in London right now. And so, this is all based on action, nominating a champion in an organization to actively promote women's night safety, to demonstrate visibly to staff and customers that your organization takes women's safety at night seriously. For example, through a communications campaign, for businesses to remind customers and staff that London is safe, but to tell them what to do if they experience harassment when working, going out, and traveling.
Yeah.
Encouraging reporting by victims and bystanders as part of this communications campaign. It also includes training for staff to ensure that all women who do report are believed, and that all reports are recorded and responded to. And the final, the 7th kind of pillar of this is just so prescient. And it's about designing public spaces and workplaces to make them safer for women at night. And this is so crucial. This is something the UN has really pushed to the forefront in how important it is for women's safety. We have so many men designing public spaces that think it's perfectly normal to have a hedge that's 5 feet high. And then we look at it, and to me, that is just a danger sign. Or, Jillian's, heartbreaking story at the beginning of this seminar. We've all been there. We've all had similar experiences and thought, why isn't it better lit? Why isn't this space thought out in a different way?
Absolutely.
So that's just kind of gives you an overview of the kind of work that we're pushing forward at City Hall. And unfortunately, I have to say, sometimes it takes a terrible, terrible tragedy. And this is where the anger comes from, I think, for so many women. That you just think, when is it going to stop?
Yeah.
And when is men's behavior going to change, quite frankly?
Do you not feel, though, that there's a groundswell happening now? It's the first time I've ever seen in my entire career as a police officer, in my career since leaving the police force. For the first time, men are actually asking the question, what can we do to help women feel safer? Now, I've never seen that before.
No.
It's incredible, and it's a good thing. But we need to empower people through education and everything that you've said with the businesses. The only way is to empower by education.
Education is absolutely the key. I'm totally with you on that, Michelle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a
amazing.
city education app as well.
Put it in Help Me Out, don't you worry.
Good.
But, joking aside, we are going to make it an awareness and educate people through our app at Help Me Angela. There is a section there where we will be giving you safety advice, and we will be giving you tips on how to stay safer.
Brilliant.
So hopefully the more people that download the app, the more people we will be able to help.
And I think that's so true. It's normalizing that we can expect these things and have means of reporting or giving feedback that it's not good enough, and that we do need, more education and these interventions to be something that isn't just lip service. We do have some information. We can build on that information. We can share it. We can see what's working, what's not. There's so many initiatives, especially when you look globally. And as I said at the start, with 1 in 3 women, it's just a very slow and kind of cyclical process in a lot of ways that we need to break. And I think this opportunity with these horrific experiences, but also looking at the groups and lived experiences that we don't know, like with the Black Lives Matter movement. I think that's so key that, again, women is just one of so many ways that who we are, and we can't just look at it from one perspective. We have to understand that we're not going to have
Mm-hmm.
the lived and shared experiences of many, which has to make us better at making sure that they're integrated into it. But this is, it's such a fascinating conversation. And Kate, did you want to add anything before I ask kind of our next question to you, Michelle?
No, I think, yeah, I agree with a lot of the points which have been covered. I think that we, certainly from private sector companies, it's really important that we encourage reporting, and that we also really focus on safety education in all areas. It's something that really, I think, needs to build in as kind of best practice of what we do. And yeah, look forward to seeing how we can continue to, I guess, as Michelle mentioned, build on the momentum that we've seen recently, and really help to solve some of the safety challenges that we see arising as a result.
That's, yeah, very good point. And yeah, Michelle, I wanted to leave the last question for you because, you know, you've been working for a couple of years on Help Me Angela, but you've also seen, I know from an earlier conversation, how technology has advanced so much in your career as a police officer, and even also seeing how criminals have taken advantage of these. So what is the vision for some of like your legacy of work, and how, again, technology like Help Me Angela can actually help enable that transition to build back safer?
So in terms of my career in the police force, you have to bear in mind that I'm incredibly old, and it's 30 years ago when I joined, and when fingerprints were taken on an ink block and a piece of paper. And so, I watched in awe as technology came in and made it easier for us to identify suspects by using the live scan, then on to automatic number plate recognition, through to the sharing of information across the IT systems where other forces, which when I was in the police didn't happen. We didn't speak to each other. And so technology came in to prevent offenders from moving undetected around the UK and even abroad. And so it's bringing those technologies forward now as we move forward with Help Me Angela, where we can provide a world-class personal recovery program and ongoing support to our victims of personal assault through the foundation. And all of that is through our technology, is through our app.
That's amazing. And I know that we're I can't believe almost at the end of the hour. It went so fast, as I kind of expected. We did have one question that's for the panel in general. So they firstly said this was an amazing discussion, super timely. They were asking, do you have any concerns in regards to online harm? How can we ensure that people have safe experiences online as well?
Well, that's a whole different subject, is it? Unfortunately, it's such a huge area. A lot of my clients are the victims of the most awful online attacks, and it is very difficult for the police to work with the technology companies, in order to resolve those problems. And I think the leaders of Instagram, Twitter, all of those platforms, YouTube in particular, all of those platforms that people use to harass, to just say the most diabolical things, they have to work with the police. They have to come forward and stop blocking the investigations to help make a difference. Because I think if people saw that the police were able to take action in a timely fashion, perhaps it would go some way to preventing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a huge conversation. And just to, Amy, do you want to say one more thing?
Yeah, I just want to recognize the kind of the hurt and the pain, really, that people experience online, and not kind of brush it aside, and say it's real. Sometimes people just say, oh, well, you don't have to be on Twitter or Facebook, or, pick your social media of choice. But actually, it's part of our lives. Like, we started this conversation saying we all have apps. We use them now for everything. This is normal. And so what we really need to do is recognize that there are a certain number of companies out there that must do better.
Absolutely.
I've been not that my story is exceptional. I am one of many women in the public eye who have been, hounded, I guess I can say, suffered a lot of abuse online, and it really does take its toll. So
it's got to stop, Amy. It's not.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
absolutely not good enough.
And then we need a culture shift. This feeds into the wider culture. So, this abuse takes place online, and then it takes place in real life. And, we're on the street, and then it takes place on the street, and then people feel emboldened to go and do more online. And it's a vicious circle. We need it to stop, and we need an entire culture shift.
Absolutely.
It's a big ask because we need to take men on this journey.
Yeah.
And we need more men to be able to stand up, and men as allies to be able to do the hard work. I look at all of the amazing women that are trying to change things. And there does come a time when we just think, guys, now's the time.
Yeah, stop. Enough.
To be equal, definitely. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I feel like we just scratched the surface really on these topics. But I really hope that, everyone that was listening kind of, has some of the initial ideas of your work or initiatives or actions or thoughts that they can take away with that aren't just kind of paying lip service, because we equally will, once we raise the bar together, everyone wins. No one is losing if we look at, violence against women as a very important area, just like children's safety. We all will win in the long run in our business and our economy and our environment. So we have to, I think, as you said, Amy, have a cultural shift, which it does seem that there is some signals there. I think, with new products like Help Me Angela, I know Innovate UK is launching the safety tech network. So there are kind of the buzzing and hum of change. And I think, with your fantastic work, we're going to get there a lot sooner. So thank you so much. I think Gary will take you off screen, and yes, we'll be in touch soon. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Give some emojis to that fantastic conversation and panel. We're so grateful to have them. So finally, I am very pleased to hand this over to Gary Devenay, our Chief Technology Officer. So Gary's been passionate about working in technology and software, and I would certainly consider him an amazing ally. But he's been working in this area since 12 years old, 16 professionally, so quite a while. And he's been an incredible asset to our product team, and I will let him tell you more about i3 Intelligence. Gary, over to you.
Hi everyone, and thanks for staying until the end for our exciting announcement. My name is Gary Devenay. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Saving the City, and my primary focus has been leading the development of our i3 Intelligence platform. Gillian has described the journey of Saving the City to date. We've taken those years of testing and refining our algorithms, strengthening partnerships and expertise to package this into the i3 Intelligence API, which we're making available to technology platforms. I'm really excited to talk with you today about the first two products we've been working on. The first service I'd like to introduce to you today is i3 Risk. i3 Risk is our daily prediction service. Using official data sources and trend analysis, we crunch over 250,000 data points every day in order to produce risk estimates for public spaces and make these available to feed directly into other mobile apps or products. The fundamentals of i3 Risk have been a core part of Saving the City since the beginning. Providing the groundwork for preventative safety, i3 Risk gives team the data they need to send intelligent notifications, evaluate risk at a user's location, suggest alternative destinations or actions they can take to minimise risks. Using i3 Risk, we provide up-to-date risk levels across a multitude of crimes at users' location, as well as trend analysis from previous days. As an example, let's imagine Sarah and Michael matching on a dating app. While they're arranging to meet up, the app can check with i3 Risk what concerns there are at their proposed destination. If any risks come back higher than usual, the dating app could notify Sarah and Michael on some measures they could take to prepare, or maybe suggest some alternative spots. Whilst this is only one example, we want you to imagine the possibilities of providing a great experience to people like Sarah and Michael, keeping their safety at top priority. We've currently rolled out i3 Risk across Greater London, and we will be rolling out across the UK in the coming months. We would love to speak with potential partners who are interested in integrating i3 across the UK and further afield about how we can make that happen even faster. The next service I'm excited to introduce to you today is i3 React. i3 React is our emergency alerting platform. Our bespoke machine learning model continuously scans various data sources across social media, news channels, emergency broadcasts, and much more. We look for serious incidents unfolding, notify your app or product, and help you keep your users safe. If you've been a Safe in the City user for a while, you may have seen i3 React in action in the past. During the 2019 London Bridge terrorist attack, i3 React identified and flagged an incident as it was unfolding. We quickly verified the ongoing incident and triggered a mobile notification to all Safe in the City users within a 5-kilometre radius, relaying official police guidance, all within only 10 minutes. We received messages of appreciation from our users, as there was many people who were not aware of the issue, who could have experienced harm without this information delivered directly to their device. Today I'm happy to announce that we are making i3 React available across the UK, and we'll look to expand to more countries in the near future. I'm really excited to get these products into your hands, and the team has done a lot of work to make getting up and running easy. We can quickly get you set up with some access keys, technical documentation, help you decide which risk categories and emergency events are relevant for your users, and when they should be notified. If you're looking for a head start, you can go over to the documentation on safeinthecity.com, grab a seat at one of our technical workshops, or you can reach out to the team to find out how i3 Intelligence can help you take your users' safety to the next level. Thanks everyone for your time, and I'm going to pass you back to Gillian for some closing remarks. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Gary. That was fantastic. And I hope you're as excited as we are to work together to make this a reality. So I did have a quick check in the chat room, but we want to leave a couple minutes, 1 or 2, for any last remaining questions, comments, realizations that you've had in the past hour. So it looks like I'm going to pull, so there's a data scientist from the Commonwealth Secretariat interested in the role data plays in promoting safety. Is the data behind Safe in the City open source? Also, could you shed more light on the i3 Intelligence? Well, I think we got to that, so hopefully that answers that question. So the data behind Safe in the City is not open source. Why it's not open sourced is because of the, I guess, relationship that we have with our customers, and also the protection of that sensitive information. So we alone have a number of very cautious kind of security measures. And again, we're looking at anonymous reporting. So it's more collating that larger picture of aggregated insights than individual trends and acting like police. That's something that we don't do, and that's why we're working with the Metropolitan Police and other government agencies to make sure that they're also aware of this and can address it. So we're certainly happy to touch on that a little bit more with you afterwards. So I think with that, we're going to move on to our close. I can't believe how fast this hour has been, and I hope it's been of value to you and your organizations. So thank you so much for joining this important, very timely conversation, a milestone and celebration for us, and really an opportunity about how we can learn to build back safer. Be well, keep safe, and we'll speak to you all very soon.